Thank you very much indeed, James, and thanks to Martin Brundle as well. That is the running order for the decisive qualifying 2 tomorrow afternoon. Of course, you can see it live here on ITV1. Justin Wilson failing to start this afternoon. He goes first, followed by Rubens Barrichello in the Ferrari. We'll talk about him a little bit later on. And going right the way through, well, Kimi Raikkonen going 9th. He'll be very upset about that, and so will McLaren. And we heard, or we saw Michael Schumacher giving an interview there. We would do our best to bring it to you before we leave this afternoon. Well, let's have a little word, shall we, about Michael Schumacher first of all, Mark, I guess, and a bit of a statement from him here this afternoon.
Huge statement. I think he just underlined it there, didn't he? I mean, normally when you go out early on the circuit, conditions are not at their best. You know, you would expect the track to get rubbered in, there'd be more grip available at the end of the session there, but Michael Schumacher just went out and pulverised the field. You know, what's scary at this point in time as well, that he had a little bit of a moment on a couple of corners, just got it a little bit wrong, and that's only cost him probably 2 tenths or so, but if you added that on, that would be half a second clear of the rest of the field. We're back now halfway through the season. We're seeing Ferrari in a real dominant factor again. Bridgestone obviously pulled the socks up. Ferrari definitely have. They turned up here with some new parts, as Ted told us earlier in the show, but it's scary to think that they're that much quicker now. Yeah,
Montoya and Ralf Schumacher 2nd and 3rd, of course, but Ferrari working very, very hard. It's working for Michael Schumacher at the moment, Tony, but Rubens Barrichello, problems that we saw at the start of the show and in the session as well.
It was working at the start of the lap for Rubens Barrichello, and what Mark was saying is absolutely true. We understand there was a big powwow back in Italy between Bridgestone and Ferrari after them getting a pummeling in France, and Ferrari saying to them, well, they've got to pull their socks up. It was going really well until this point when Rubens lost it, turning into the complex there. And as drivers like Mark and Martin have observed, perhaps he could have kept the power on and tried to get through it and then really hammered his way through the loose in there. I mean, these guys have taught me the line through there, and he was definitely slightly offline, mate. I never lose it there in the old Aston.
We're not worried about you in the Aston. We're worried about Michael Schumacher now. He is waiting now to talk live to Ted Kravitz. On you go, Ted.
Indeed, Jim, yes, down here live with Michael Schumacher. Michael, great lap. Was that down to you or the improvements to the Ferrari?
No, I think I'm doing a reasonably consistent job so far, and we definitely have worked very hard last week, and that sort of paid off.
Quite a gap to the Williams. Did you expect that?
Oh, I mean, it's 2 tenths. It's not a massive gap. It's
considering their recent form, though.
Yeah, considering where we have been in Magny-Cours, it's a big step. But then I think you have some circuits that simply work against you, and we have been very strong here during the test. So with the addition improvements, we are where we expected to be.
It was a shame for Rubens. Could he have helped you in qualifying tomorrow, being a bit further up the order?
I hope that it doesn't make too much of a difference, honestly, to start first tomorrow or last. And the circuit is pretty clean, and today it didn't seem to make any harm to me being the first car out, so I hope it's the same for him. And that he sort of can be there as well and hopefully take some points away from our opponents.
Well, as we've said, first blood to Ferrari. What's it going to take to complete the successful weekend here at Silverstone?
Win the race.
Very simple. Thanks very much, Michael.
He's got that ominous, calm, I'm in charge look, hasn't he, again?
He has. He knows what's going on, and all the parts and components are coming back together again. I think, as we were saying before that, the key issue is the tyres and this tyre war that is going on, because that Ferrari is a fabulous car. But what we have to remember is he's having a tough season. He's had a very tough season. Michael's having to fight like anything, but he's loving it, he's enjoying it, and he's responding so well.
Absolutely. And Williams and McLaren will both say, hey, it's only Friday, the race that matters is on Sunday. Let's look at the British drivers with you, shall we? And David Coulthard, who, as we said, has had his problems in one lap qualifying. A very, very consistent job from David today.
Yeah, solid job. I think David, outlined that he was a little bit cautious early on in his lap. Probably could have pushed a little bit more. Obviously, the weather was a little bit temperamental. He wasn't sure what was going to be around the next corner, but he got himself in the hunt there. First few cars when he goes out to qualify in the same conditions as all the big boy runners, and that's going to be an important element.
Here's Jenson
Button, I think, also doing a good job. I thought earlier on this lap was really going to come to him, but he just seemed to tail off slightly towards the end of it. But again, they're working and improving. Ralph Furman, for me, just struggling slightly. He just seems to be working overtime in the cockpit of that car. And I just don't see the confidence level building with the chassis at this point. And Justin Wilson, what can you say? I mean, you've got to feel sorry for the guy. goes out to start a qualifying lap for his first British Grand Prix, has to pull off with a broken car.
Very tough indeed. Let's have a word, shall we, with Ralph Furman. Here he is now with Louise.
How did you find it out there?
I had a lot of oversteer and carried on from this morning really, but a bit disappointed, a bit slower than this morning's time, but with a lot less fuel, so have to have a look at that and see where we are tomorrow.
Do you think it's something that you can put right for the final qualifying?
I think so, yeah. We've taken a lot of downforce of the car in the morning, and we've made some changes over the break for oversteer, but never quite got on top of it, so we'll probably go back to what we had, similar to the start of the first session.
A tough time for him, a tough time as well for the Minardis, whose boss Paul Stoddart is now chatting, ready to talk to Louise.
Paul, that really was the lap that never was for Justin, wasn't it?
Real shame, British Grand Prix. I mean, we had all the luck in France 2 weeks ago, and today, unfortunately, Justin's car just came to a stop. I mean, we don't even know what was wrong with it yet. When it left the pits, unfortunately, we had a complete telemetry failure, so we won't really know now until we get the car back.
Do you think those two things could be related, the telemetry failure and the car failure?
Could be. I mean, we've only seen what you guys have seen on the screen. Clearly, the car did pull very sharply off the track. Justin knew he had a problem and just boarded on what looked like a service road. So we'll have to wait until the car comes back.
Bad luck. We'll hope for better things tomorrow.
Thank you.
What do we make now of the Williams threat this weekend then?
Well, I think if the temperatures rise tomorrow, you will see them a lot closer and perhaps edging ahead of the Ferrari, you never know. But the great thing for me today was Montoya just edging out Ralph, because he got aced out in France last time around. He wasn't happy about that and he even stalked off after the race. So perhaps he can turn things around a bit here at Silverstone.
And Martin has some very kind things to say about the Renault pair as well, Alonso and Trulli.
Well, I think you watch the Renault cars out in the circuit, they look very tidy indeed, and the two guys there have got confidence in the cockpits. Alonso, I mean, the young man there is just getting every little bit out of that chassis, but they are progressing well. But the other thing for me, Olivier Panis in the Toyota, I think he's done a great job there. Very, very solid performance indeed.
We can talk to Olivier now. Here he is with Louise.
Well done, Olivier. Were you expecting to be in the top 6, or did that come as a pleasant surprise to you?
Well, we expect to be not too bad here because the circuit is more for our car, but definitely we do a very good job last week in Barcelona. We have some new part of the car, it looks like promising, and today with everybody on the same fuel we looks really, really good. This is quite good news for us.
Explain what you mean this circuit's good for your car.
Yeah, the car like the high-speed circuit, and in this moment sometimes we are a little bit, we have some difficulty in the low-speed circuit, Here is very high-speed circuit and I love this circuit, it's maybe help too.
Well done.
Thank you.
You feel good about him, Olivier? He's had some tough times this season, always seems to come up smiling.
Yeah, he's always there, isn't he? But a smile on his face, and I think justifiable at this moment in time. He has to be confident come the race for Sunday, and it seems like that car is working and it's getting progressively better, and I think by the end of the season they're going to be real contenders for next season.
And the Toyotas with that big budget, and is it finally just sort of starting to pay off a little bit, Tony?
Yeah, it'll take a long time, but they did realise that it would take a long time, and everyone's looking at the amount of people that they've thrown at it, the fact that they're chasing people like Mike Gascoigne. They will get there eventually. But Panis, talking about him, he is one of the older drivers. He's 36 now. This is a very technical track. Don't look like that.
It's not that old, believe me.
No, apart from Bentley drivers aside, mate. And he's very technically good. We have to remember the great job he did when he was a test driver for McLaren. I mean, Mark tested at McLaren and Williams and so on. He knows how tough that job is, grinding round and round. He's done a lot of grinding round and round here, Panis, for McLaren. And all that technical expertise is helping forge Toyota.
Good. Tony, Mark, thank you very much indeed. We will reconvene tomorrow. Yeah, good. Of course, the Tour de France is continuing. It is stage 12 today, and you can follow the story. A very exciting story is as well. ITV2, 7 o'clock tonight, or if you prefer, a bit later here on ITV1 at 12:50. Before that, another chance to enjoy qualifying one right here tonight at 11:35. At 12:30 tomorrow, though, you can see highlights from the 10th anniversary of Goodwood's Festival of Speed. Murray Walker is your presenter. It's a great day, stirring all sorts of memories. David Coulthard, Jenson Button, Juan Pablo Montoya mixing with motor racing legends past and present. 12:30 tomorrow. Now that is followed by qualifying 2 from 1:30, and that includes Jenson Button, sharpest of the lot in the lawnmower race, and Michael Schumacher. Have a look at that hair crash bat. I reckon his old stance needs a bit of work though. On race day, our British Grand Prix coverage kicks off at noon. Highlights 11:25 on Sunday night. I seem to remember Evie Irvine once said, being Michael Schumacher's teammate is a bit like being battered on the head all weekend. The world champion's innings has started very stylishly. Bye-bye to you all.